Org. We hope you were inspired. We are inspiring you today to maybe make a trip to your community theater as part of your weekend or summer plans. And we're continuing this conversation with Randy and Seth of Pike County Little Theatre, who just had a production this last weekend. And I assume, does it feel like a wedding? There's just all this, build up and excitement, and then it's over, and then you're like, start again?
Pretty much.
I mean, I can't speak much to that, as I've never prepared for one, but I'm sure Randy could.
You mean a wedding? Y'all are taking me literally. I just meant for like a big event, and there's all of the, anticipation and all the things having to come together, and then, the curtain rises, and it's whatever happens, and then, it's still that element of something being live that I think many people need, or many people haven't had the opportunity to sort of take part in. So what's it like for those that maybe come and visit the theater for the first time who have never seen a live production before? What are some of their common, comments after the show?
That's a good question.
Well, I do remember that in one of our Christmas productions, because we do an annual Christmas review, we had a lady from Tylertown come and see us, and she didn't know that we were out there, and she saw, I think, one of our advertisements on Facebook telling about the show, and she came and saw it, and she was like, "I'm going to come see everything now. I love that this is here. This is wonderful." Because it is such an electrifying feeling seeing a show live. And that's one thing.
Especially in the type of theater we have, where the action is it being a black box theater, like Seth was talking about. We're like right there with the audience. How far would you say the audience was away from us, Seth? About 2 feet, 3 feet?
About 2 feet. After spacing out the seating. Like we did, they're right there. They feel the emotion. They're part of the action in a way.
Do you ever have the same performance twice, or is every time you show up and the curtain rises, it's something a little different?
I don't think it can ever be the same.
It has to be different. And the audience is always, an audience will give you different energy every single time, and that affects you whether you want it to or not. If you're doing a comedy, depending on what the audience laughs at, your energy is going to, elevate or, decrease as the show goes along.
Well, we all know anyone who does any type of live entertainment or just commentary like Rhino and I do here on Good Things every week, as well as many other in different industries, you have flubs and missteps, and you just have to keep going. There's no rewind or redo or stop and pause. So without bringing back, bad memories and tears, I'm curious, Seth, and then Randy, have you ever had any faux pas on on stage there that now you laugh at?
Well, there's plenty of moments where, you'll either drop a line and hopefully it's in a position where you just kept going and they didn't notice. Sometimes you get tongue-tied and it just comes out as gibberish. I do know one time, and it was in my senior show at Park Lane, I landed in a way to where I was just leaning forward, and then the whole scene was in a freeze frame, and the way I was sitting, all my weight was on my front leg, and I just had to hold it for 3 minutes, and it was excruciatingly painful, and I was like, well, I need to make sure that doesn't happen again.
So for you, Randy, give us your most embarrassing moment on stage, because that's a good thing for everybody else to laugh at.
An embarrassing moment on stage.
And it may not have been embarrassing, but it's just, those natural flubs. And I think, the reason for this question is just for those that may be thinking, man, I could never learn my lines perfectly. I could never do that without, messing up. There's no way I could do theater, but it looks fun. Well, that's not true. Everybody messes up.
Well, I don't know if Seth will remember this show, but we did a show called Red. And that's the one that just closed Sunday. And there were quite a few moments because it was very wordy, and Oh, I'll just say right now, thank God I had Seth there with me, and he was able to, guide me through some parts. So it was, whew.
Well, I think
so what you have to do is just you try though to do it in such a way that the audience doesn't even know, because you have to remember the audience does not have the script in front of them. So if you've messed up a line or changed a line, the only way they're going to know that you have done that is if you make it obvious. So that's the tricky part, is making sure it's not obvious.
Well, I like, Randy, that you mentioned Seth sort of led you through that, and I think anyone who's had a curiosity of community theater but thinks they'd get on stage and freeze, it sounds like there's this great support system that if you're interested in it and you want to come out, first you should probably just go and stake out and find your local community theater and go see a show, but then two, take that leap of faith and know that there are going to be good people there like Seth or Randy who are going to, make sure that you only fumble once, and then if you do, it won't be so noticeable and you'll keep enjoying the live entertainment. What's it like? What's the rush like for maybe your first, maybe not your very first time when the curtains rise, because that's really terrifying, I'm sure, but when you walk out with just a little bit more confidence that maybe, you can actually enjoy the experience without thinking you're going to, pee your pants?
Well, personally, I don't think I ever really had that severe nervousness or that. It's always a rush. I mean, it absolutely is. But I was a little bit more, be it in this business like we are, I'm a little bit more used to having to think on my feet sometimes. If you turn on this is going to go back to the old days. We used to play these things called records on the radio stations, and if you turn it on and something's wrong, you got to be able to cover that really quick. So that's where it is with me. Now, nervousness before any show is going to be natural, and I'd feel weird if I didn't get nervous before a show. I don't know about Seth. So.
I think nerves are important. Nerves show that you care. If you're not nervous before going out there, I mean, something's wrong. And it doesn't matter if it's your first show or your 100th show. Whenever you're going out there, you're wanting to get it right. But you also have to be able to understand that if something goes wrong, that's just the process. And you form such a connection with the other actors that, you're able to cover each other and just you keep going. You tell this story. You make sure that the audience is engaged, because as long as the audience is engaged in the moment, even if you miss a line or miss a blocking or whatever, it can still work.
That's why they say the show must go on, and I know the shows are continuing to go on. So we obviously missed the one this weekend there in Pike County, but for you guys, what's coming up next?
You want me to take that one, or you want to do that one?
I'll go ahead and say May 17th will be auditions for our next production, which will be the musical Disaster. Disaster the Musical, which is a sort of a satire on classic 70s disaster films, such as Poseidon Adventure and Towering Inferno. And it sets that story to classic 70s disco tunes. And it is truly a hilarious and fun time at a theater. Like if you're not sure about going to see local theater, don't know how it's going to be, this is one that would definitely be a great one to see first, because it truly is just a fun, funny experience. So we got that coming up. So auditions are May 17th at our Depot Theater building. You can find specific details for that on our Facebook page, and because we definitely would encourage anyone who is interested to come out and audition. And that will run end of July, beginning of August. I think it's July 29th through August 1st.
Right. 29th through August 1st.
Pretty cool. And where do we go? You said your Facebook page, but is there a website, or where do we go get tickets?
Tickets are usually made available early on Eventbrite.com, and that usually happens within a month of the premiere date of our show. So that's when tickets will go available. But if you want to keep up to date with everything they have to offer, following Pike County Little Theatre on Facebook is the optimal way to go.
You real
Absolutely.
quick, last question. Seth, what is your dream Broadway casting? Real quick.
The dream role.
Yeah, on Broadway.
I would love to play Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's one of my favorite musicals, and that's one of my favorite roles.
All right, Randy, your turn.
I wish I had one. I really don't. I've enjoyed everything I do, and I usually let somebody else look at it and say, hey, you'd be perfect for this, like Seth did with this last show.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll keep up with all things Pike County Little Theatre over on Facebook, and you guys stick with